Tonight, Saskatchewan RCMP jurisdictions are reporting an increase in crime. The province announces more healthcare jobs for rural Saskatchewan and looking at ways to reduce the increasing costs of the new Aquatic Centre.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. While major centers are seeing a decrease in crime, it's not the same story for jurisdictions that are covered by the RCMP. Saskatchewan has seen an increase compared to 10 years ago, with the north part of the province seeing a substantial increase in violent crime. Mick Favel has the details.
The Saskatchewan RCMP have released the crime statistics for 2024, showing an increase of crime in the province. According to the report, the RCMP crime rate for the last year sits at nearly 19,000 incident-based crime violations, up over 700 than the year before. A number of offense categories have seen an uptick, including violent crimes, interpersonal crimes, and property crimes, while others, such as mischief, motor theft, and firearms offenses, have dropped or remained stagnant.
To address safer communities includes adding more police officers. We're adding a Saskatchewan Marshal Service. We're requesting more RCMP officers. But in addition to having more boots on the ground, we're also making legislative and regulatory changes to give those officers more tools in their tool belt.
Although the province has seen a drop in overall crime, the numbers are unbalanced. The northern jurisdiction of the RCMP has seen a 485% increase in violent firearms offenses, compared to a 67% jump in central Saskatchewan, 65% in the south. But unlike RCMP jurisdictions, city centers like Regina have seen a drop in some of the numbers. RPS attributes the decrease to a variety of work being done.
That higher visibility when we see officers out on the street, that tends to be a deterrent for crime. Some really proactive work in terms of traffic. We've had some really large drug busts with our drug unit, and so I think all of those things point to decreasing crime.
The 2024 crime statistics illustrate a steady increase of what the RCMP is handling. In retrospect to 10 years ago, when the RCMP crime rate was 5,000 lower, and they were receiving 45% less calls for service and assistance. Mick Favel, CTV News, Regina.
A 44-year-old correctional officer at the Regina Provincial Correctional Centre is facing several charges, including conspiracy to commit the indictable offence of trafficking a controlled substance. Now, back on September 26, 2023, RCMP charged a 36-year-old inmate with possession of an illegal substance for the purpose of trafficking. The investigation determined someone from outside the facility was purchasing, packaging, and transporting the illegal substances to an unknown correctional officer. A 35-year-old woman was arrested for being that person outside the facility supplying the substances. Then, after a lengthy investigation, 44-year-old correctional officer Justin Amiot was arrested on July 16th of this year. He'll make his next court appearance on August the 7th. The province says more help is on the way for rural hospitals. 77 full-time positions are being created across 30 communities. As Wayne Mantika tells us, the government hopes it will help stabilize the provision of emergency and other services.
Temporary service disruptions are a problem at rural hospitals in Saskatchewan. The latest step to address the issue will be the hiring of more full-time staff.
And I'm pleased that we have the chance to celebrate the ongoing efforts to reduce service disruptions in rural and northern communities. And today I'm very pleased to announce 77 new and enhanced permanent full-time positions will be added to 30 different rural and northern communities.
The bulk of the 77 positions are currently filled by part-time and temporary staff, but it's difficult to retain workers without offering full-time job stability.
Adding more full-time roles will help attract young professionals, support existing employees by providing better staffing coverage, improve team cohesiveness, and create a safer work environment for patients and providers.
The announcement was made in Moose Jaw, where 7 permanent nursing jobs will be added. Other rural communities like Kipling will gain 2 permanent nursing positions. The NDP opposition questions how the positions will be filled.
You know, as of this morning, according to publicly available data, we have 1,647 vacant healthcare positions in the province. And so why should people believe that these 77 that the Sask Party government will be able to fill, whereas the previous 1,647 they could not?
The SHA doesn't know how long it will take to fill the 77 permanent positions. But with many of the spots already filled by part-time and temporary workers, convincing them to go full-time could make the job easier. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Moose Jaw.
As for Premier Scott Moe, he was in Muskoka, Ontario today as Canadian premiers wrapped up their three-day gathering. Conversations surrounding U.S. tariffs on Canada and the U.S. trade war took place, along with international trade barriers and how to improve cooperation across the country by expanding the Canada Free Trade Act. Discussions surrounding Bill C-5 also came to pass, with leaders speaking on what the process might look like for approving projects in the future. Scott Moe says he is cautiously optimistic about working with consciously optimistic, about working with provincial leaders in the near future.
It was a good discussion, and I think although there's always differences in our nation, and I would say that quite often if we recognize the respect and accept those differences, that really is our strength as Canadian citizens and Canadian provinces. But there's many points of agreement as well as we move forward.
Now, Moe also referencing Prime Minister Mark Carney, saying he is also focused on resetting the regulatory environment in Canada, an effort to approve more projects. We'll have more on these meetings later on in the newscast. Let's jump to the weather situation with Sabine, and we are seeing some areas clear up from the smoke, while other parts in the eastern part of the province still dealing with a bit of a heavy sense of smoke.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great sign when we saw those warnings lift for most of the province earlier today, Lee, but yes, late this afternoon we did see some of these air quality statements go back into effect for parts of eastern Saskatchewan, including Regina, Weyburn, Estevan, under those air quality statements, along with Yorkton as well. So essentially we will start to see that smoke return as we head into tonight and lingering around tomorrow morning before we should start to see much of that smoke clear out heading into later tomorrow during the day and into the evening. And it's just something to keep in mind if you are planning on spending some time outdoors. Now, the air quality health index aren't as high as we were seeing them earlier. Those will, though, we could start to see them climb as we head into tonight and into tomorrow. Temperatures remaining a little cooler than average for parts of southern Saskatchewan. The average is about 26 degrees. We didn't even get into 20 today. However, that will change as we near closer to the weekend with temperatures nearing 30 degrees. But I'll have more details coming up in your full forecast. Lee?
All right, thank you, Sabine. Métis Nation Saskatchewan has declared a state of emergency as wildfires continue to rage on in the north. Organization is raising concerns about the amount of resources dedicated to protecting traditional lands. Leaders are claiming that the muskeg fire burning near the northern village of Beauval isn't receiving the same level of attention, in their opinion, as the bullfire, which is in part inside Prince Albert National Park. They say the fires are not only threatening communities, but also destroying key elements of the Indigenous way of life, including trap lines and areas where traditional medicines grow. Métis Nation Saskatchewan is calling on the provincial government to reevaluate its response.
It's our constitutional right to harvest off these lands as we have for generations, and we need to protect that. Those rights have value. We shouldn't have to compete with the value of a structure versus our traditional territories.
CTV News has reached out to the government for a response, but we did not hear back by broadcast. Meanwhile, the Prince Albert Grand Council asking the province as well to revise its disaster assistance program to include the dozens of trapping cabins that were lost to the wildfires. The PAGC says these cabins are central to the economic and cultural survival of many northern Indigenous families. The SPSA released a statement that trapper cabins are not covered because they are insurable. The statement says through the Recovery Task Team, the Provincial Disaster Assistance Program will be discussing ways to enhance future programming to better reflect the needs of Indigenous land users in the north.
Trapping is what built Canada. Trapping industry, and there has to be, I said many times, there has to be support in this industry, in this traditional industry.
Now, the PAGC claims that many cabins are uninsured due to their remote locations and lack of access to affordable coverage. University of Saskatchewan is working on a new way to deliver education among Indigenous youth, and thanks to a recent funding bump, that idea will soon be a virtual reality. Ellie Mandrick explains.
The University of Saskatchewan School of Rehabilitation Science has been exploring the field of virtual reality for the past 6 years, and now they're putting that knowledge towards educating Indigenous youth in health sciences.
Explore different ways to learn about mental health and wellness in ways that are culturally appropriate, consulting with their elders, the educators, and the youth themselves to sort of bring their opinions in to build something that's really meaningful for them.
The 2-year-long project is thanks to a $250,000 grant from the New Frontiers Research Fund. The U of S will continue to work alongside Whitecap Dakota First Nation as they develop the program. It's a project the Whitecap community is looking forward to being a part of.
Revitalization is like a really strong word for it. Also bringing community together and also helping others learn. Because at the end of the day, this is a huge initiative that could turn into something bigger, especially for helping others people learn and bringing a community together.
While the Saskatchewan education curriculum does include health science classes, Lovo says there's a gap in the system when it comes to incorporating Indigenous knowledge.
At the moment in Saskatchewan, there are not opportunities for Indigenous students to take those classes from the lens of their own cultural worldview or their own language. And so that limits the responsiveness or applicability of that content to them.
And this new way of educating will help keep centuries of Indigenous knowledge alive.
This will hopefully encourage students and youth to learn about anatomy of the brain and other parts of the body, and perhaps lead them more toward health science programming if it's of interest and applicable and can embrace the incredible knowledges that have been in their own communities for hundreds of years.
Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
The newly merged Connexus, Cornerstone, and Synergy credit unions have revealed what name and CEO it will have going forward. The organization's board of directors announced the organization will retain the Connexus Credit Union name. Selena Philpott was also selected to be the CEO of the new credit union effective January 1st, 2026. Philpott previously served as the CEO of Connexus before the merger. The new credit union will serve more than 200,000 members through 57 branches across 50 communities. A new space for younger children will be open in the next few months, and the Boys and Girls Club are having a location built here in Regina. It's right beside City Hall. It's in fact the former downtown YWCA building will now have 180 new licensed childcare spaces for children up to 6 years of age. Families are now eligible to put their children's name on a waiting list. This will give parents another daycare option in what has really become a challenging experience.
So licensed childcare, really, so between the ages of 6 weeks and age 6 is extremely hard to find. So when it comes to licensed centers, that demand has been increasing. It's always been there, but more and more since that agreement was signed, because for families, that represents $217 a month. It's affordable care that if centers aren't licensed, they don't receive that, and parents have to pay a much higher fee.
Renovations expected to be completed sometime between October and November of this fall. RCMP Depot Division held their final sunset ceremony of the season last night. Two RCMP cannons were loaded and fired along with a field gun from Fort Walsh. The sunset ceremony is an RCMP tradition dating back more than 60 years. The marching band plays while cadets perform dismounted cavalry maneuvers, and while the force is always modernizing and upgrading technology, they do feel it's important to hold on to their heritage. The event attracts hundreds of tourists, local residents, and usually some retired RCMP veterans who enjoy reliving their younger days.
I know that it is very important to them. It's Depot is kind of the heart of the organization. This is where everybody starts their training and then is scattered all across Canada. And so this is like home to them. And so when they come here for one of these ceremonies and see the tradition, I think it refuels their Mountie soul and gives even citizens that have never been here a sense of pride.
The lowering of the Canadian flag is a part of every sunset ceremony. Cadets treat the flag with respect as they fold it and march off to the parade square. Still ahead, healthcare and public safety take center stage on the final day of the Premier's Summit. And a look at how drought conditions are impacting farmers in Manitoba. Canada's premiers met for the final day of their three-day summit in Ontario. Today, talk shifted to healthcare and public safety. CTV's Rachel Aiello has the latest.
Premiers wrapped 3 days of talks about building up the economy and tearing down internal trade barriers, united against a common enemy.
We have a crisis in Canada about Donald Trump attacking us. We're trying to protect our economy.
With a former ambassador who briefed premiers yesterday, revealing today that reaching a deal by August 1st is highly unlikely.
It's complex and it may take longer, and I think it probably will.
One premier conceded that they'd now consider an agreement on sectoral irritants, such as autos and lumber, in the next 9 days, a win.
I mean, I'm watching Truth Social along with everyone else because things could change in 5 minutes.
Premiers also committed to taking at least one trade mission to another province or territory in the coming year.
We have our points of disagreement, but there are far more points of agreement in terms of how we're going to build our economies in our respective provinces.
And while the trade war with the U.S. dominated this week's discussions, today premiers also carved out time to tackle a pair of other pressing domestic issues. Public safety, including pushing the Prime Minister on bail reform.
We need to, greatly stiffen the sentence, not only for those repeat offenders, but for those that are bringing these poisonous drugs into our communities across Canada.
And strengthening Canada's strained healthcare system.
If we want to say that we're standing up to Donald Trump and we're never going to be the 51st state, let's make sure that our universal healthcare system is strong.
While Canada's premiers and the Prime Minister have come away from these talks largely on the same page, when it comes to fixing the immigration system, Premier Ford made it clear today he thinks the federal government has more work to do. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Huntsville, Ontario.
3 workers trapped underground at a BC mine do have enough air, water, and food for what officials call an extended stay. They became stranded yesterday after 2 fall-of-ground incidents at the Red Chris mine in the northwest part of the province. The workers are now in an area where they have access to contained refuge bays, each equipped to support about 16 people for 3 days. They moved there after the first rock fall before the second collapse blocked their escape. Specialist teams from nearby mine sites are being assembled to respond to the accident. 2 of the workers are from BC, the other is from Ontario. Communication is restricted, but so far we know all are not injured. Well, it's not just southwest Saskatchewan. A lack of rain and hot conditions is having a massive impact on farmers in Manitoba. Communities in that province are now declaring states of emergency. CTV's Alex Carpa reports on what impacts this could have on consumers.
This corn should be considerably higher than this. And
Lyle Thorgilson has not seen his fields this bad in years. Drought conditions in Manitoba are severely impacting his crops.
You can see the yellowing of the plant here and stuff. That's drought stress.
For perspective, this is what Thorgilson's cornfield looked like in 2023. And this is what it looks like now. Significant damage done due to little rain.
It's probably one of the tougher crops, and there's still maybe hope that we can get some tonnage out of it for feed for the cattle, but yeah, it's stunted for sure.
From a distance, this oat field looks like it's thriving, but in reality, as you can see, it's not. In parts of this field, the oat is barely growing, a problem that many farmers are dealing with right across the province. 2 rural municipalities in the province declared states of emergency last week due to the agricultural disaster.
It's not good, and we need a lot of rain.
It's not just farmers in Manitoba hurting, so too are many in Saskatchewan, with communities in that province also declaring states of emergencies. Virgil Johnson says it's not just people who will be affected, but livestock too.
We're not sure how far-reaching these conditions are, and where the local producers are going to be able to source feed to carry them through the winter to maintain the herds they have.
In addition to the drought, smoke from wildfires could gravely impact food products moving forward, but one expert says it's too early to tell how this will affect consumers at the grocery store.
Smoke could actually impact the quality of grains at harvest, and that could also impact the revenues of farmers in the end, and they could get less money for their product.
We've had to put more money into these crops than usual.
As for Thorgilson, he is praying more rain falls so he can salvage some of his crop. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Lundar, Manitoba.
Speed cameras are not just catching speeding drivers, but are also changing how Canadians are driving.
Yes, they're slowing down when they approach these cameras, but the fact that they're keeping their speeds down and not speeding back up again once they pass them that is really good.
A new survey shows 73% of drivers, at least in Ontario, slowed down when nearing a speed enforcement camera. More than half of drivers say they are unlikely to speed after crossing it. That's up from 44% in 2023. There are numerous speed cameras in Saskatchewan, including some Regina school zones, Ring Road, and of course on Highway 1 by Moose Jaw. U.S. President Donald Trump announced a trade deal with Japan. The president says it will lower tariffs on most Japanese products.
I just signed, and it was really helped a lot by our big, beautiful deal that we just did, the big, beautiful bill, as we call it. But I just signed the largest trade deal in history. I think maybe the largest deal in history with Japan.
The agreement was sent overseas markets climbing, Japan's stock index rising by almost 4%. As part of the agreement, Trump says Japan has agreed to invest $550 billion in the U.S. Japan has also agreed to increase purchases of agricultural products from the U.S. And in the Gaza Strip, health officials say Israeli strikes killed 21 people overnight and into today. They included attacks in Gaza City and elsewhere in the northern part of the territory. 115 charity and human rights groups say today that Israel's blockade on ongoing military offensive right now are pushing Palestinians towards starvation. In an open letter, they blame Israeli restrictions and what they call massacres at aid distribution points. Israel rejected the criticism, accusing the groups of echoing Hamas propaganda. The Israelis insist they are allowing enough aid into the territory and fault delivery efforts by UN agencies. The doctor who supplied actor Matthew Perry with ketamine has pleaded guilty to 4 counts of distribution. Dr. Salvador Plasencia is one of 5 people charged in connection with the Canadian star's death. In exchange for his guilty plea, 3 additional charges of distribution and 2 counts of falsifying records were dropped. The California doctor faces up to 40 years in prison when he is sentenced. Plasencia's lawyer said that the doctor was not treating Perry at the time of the actor's death, and that ketamine that caused his death was not provided by the doctor. Coming up, a roaring celebration at the Saskatoon Zoo for grizzly bears Coda and Mistea.
Day preview on the heels of the big win last week. Wes Cates weighs in on how the Riders can continue their winning ways.
News, weather, and traffic. It's everything you need. CTV Morning Live, weekdays 6 to 9.
Welcome back. We're going to take a look at your forecast heading into tonight and what's to come, including the weekend. And yes, it is quite smoky out there. Air quality health index sitting at about a 6, so we are in a moderate risk right now. Could see those numbers elevate a little more as we head into tonight and into tomorrow morning before we start to see a lot of the smoke clear out. Current temperature sitting at 18 degrees, and that is the warmest we got up to today in Regina, with the average, of course, being about 26 degrees. We will get back up there as soon as tomorrow, but in terms of what we saw today, not a whole lot in terms of precipitation, just this smoke. And as I mentioned earlier, we did see a lot of Saskatchewan under these air quality health warnings yesterday. Those lifted first thing this morning, but now late this afternoon we did see these air quality statements in effect for much of eastern Saskatchewan here, including Regina, Yorkton, Weyburn, Estevan, many parts of eastern Saskatchewan. Again, we should hopefully start to see those lift as we head into tomorrow as well. We don't really have much for active weather coming over the next couple of days. I'll show you that as I get out of the way here. A little bit of that cloud cover rolling through. Could see some scattered showers here and there, but again, as we're heading into Friday, mostly clear conditions until we get into Friday evening with a little bit of that rain, possibly some storms coming through the Yorkton Parkland area into Friday evening. That clears out, and then we have more rain and possibly some storm activity coming through around the Kindersley area Friday night as well. That system clears out, but as it's moving through overnight into Friday night into Saturday, it will touch through the Swift Current area, Moose Jaw area, even into Regina first thing Saturday morning. So could see a little bit of that rain and again possibly some storm activity first thing Saturday morning. But again, that system will clear out when you're ready to start your Saturday. We're left with mostly sunny conditions, and this is an updated look at your smoke forecast between now Into tomorrow morning, you can start to see the shift of that smoke, a little bit more blue coming through our way. By Thursday evening, we should see more of that clearing out. Again, the winds will be changing as we head into tomorrow as well, where we're seeing that wind coming from the south and then southwest by Friday. So much of that should clear out of our way and actually end up pushing further into the Manitoba area. But in terms of temperatures, again, we're going to start to see a warm up as we head into tomorrow. 27 for Lloydminster, 25 for Prince Albert. A little bit more cloud cover further north for La Ronge and La Loche, but still sitting within a few degrees of what our average is. 27 North Battleford, a mix of sun and cloud. Mainly sunny, 24 for Saskatoon. 26 and a mix of sun and cloud for Yorkton. The southwest getting into the 30s. 31 and sunny for Maple Creek. 29 mainly sunny for Swift Current. And Moose Jaw cool tonight at 8 degrees, so cooler than average, but warmer than average for Moose Jaw tomorrow at 28 degrees and a mix of sun and cloud. I don't know what Lee was doing. Okay, 28 and a mix of sun and cloud for Weyburn, 27 a mix of sun and cloud for Estevan, and Assiniboia mainly sunny and 29 degrees for Regina tonight, 10 degrees, and then warming up back into average range, 26 and nothing but sunshine. Again, though, tomorrow for most of the day, we could see most of that smoke still lingering as it continues to move through. As we get into Friday, sunny, 29 degrees is the expected high. Wind direction southwest. Kickoff against Edmonton at Mosaic Stadium is at 7 p.m. Should be a beautiful night for some football. Sunday, Saturday, 25 degrees. Rain expected Sunday at 24 degrees. Monday, 23, and then we're back into more sunny conditions. But also just want to point out, Friday is Christmas in July. You can bring your non-perishable donations for Pierre Lato Tackle for Hunger. So a little bit of rain expected. Could see some of that haziness for Thursday, but for the most part, we're back into those very warm temperatures, especially for the weekend, getting up to 29 degrees and sunshine, Lee.
Christmas in July.
Correct.
And you will be?
What do you think I'm going to be?
An elf?
Of course.
Of course. And we're not going to say, but you will have a one-time co-host with you.
There's a surprise
special.
Coming. Correct. We have a surprise.
Yeah.
You'll have to be there to find out.
You'll have to be there to find out, but
it's not Santa before anyone guesses.
Oh, true. No, it's not Santa, but I'm interested to see how he does. So.
All right.
Be good. Thanks. We move on, shall we? At Executive Committee today, the item discussed both in scope and size, to no surprise, the indoor aquatics facility project that now would cost more than Mosaic Stadium did. Jacob Carr has more on City Council's decision regarding the project.
A handful of delegates at City Hall again in front of Executive Committee, making their case as to why the new indoor aquatic facility should go ahead as planned.
We are the only top 10 clubs in the country that cannot host national finals because we need 2 fields of pool, deep tank, and right now we can only have 1 in Regina.
After gaining council approval in October, third-party estimates have found the replacement for the Lawson Pool will now cost $285 million, up $40 million than originally believed.
We've got the Wascana Pool, which is brand new, nice state-of-the-art facility. What's your thoughts if we put a roof over that one and cancel this project?
Wascana would not meet the needs that we are looking for, certainly. We need 50 meters of length to run big. You would never be able to host an event at Wascana Pool, first of all, with a roof over top of it.
With options in front of committee, including reducing the scope of the project, councillors voting to approve increased budget 8-1.
Voting on cost increase, you're never going to feel good about that, but it was sort of the best return on investment, and it was the best place to go, and it was the best decision to be made.
The city will cover the cost by moving some money from other projects within its recreational capital plan, along with adding another $10 million in debt. The decision still requires final council approval next week. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
Well, I'm sure your 20th birthday at home, probably memorable, but did it have hundreds of people celebrating you? That was the case for Coda and Mistea, the Saskatoon Zoo's 2 grizzly bears. And as John Flatters tells us, there was a whole day planned to honor what is quite the milestone for a grizzly.
Grizzly bears Coda and Mistea entered their habitat today a little differently. Dozens of families lined the fence to get a look at and say happy birthday to the two bears who just turned 20.
We're really excited with the turnout. We love that our bears are 20 years old.
The pair, who joined the zoo 17 years ago after being orphaned in Alberta, have already lived a long, full life by bear standards.
You know, in the wild, bears will live anywhere from 15 to 18 years. So to reach that 20-year milestone is really a big milestone for them. And we're just really excited to be able to share our passion and our love for these animals with the community.
Kids were able to learn more about the bears and sign a birthday card for them, while the bears were given treats for their special day.
Well, it looks like they've been swimming, and it looks like one was eating watermelon, the other is eating birthday cake.
Some were even celebrating the same birthday as the Grizzlies.
I was going to get face painted, but the line is really long. But,
the line's too long?
Yeah, but this is the best birthday ever, though.
It was also a chance for the zoo to announce plans for a brand new 6-acre bear facility.
What we're really looking forward to is building the new bear habitat. And we're building the new bear habitat to polar bear standards so that when Mistea and Coda are no longer with us, we're able to bring polar bears and look to the future.
Mitchell says over the next year, they'll be fundraising and hope to start construction in the next 1.5 to 2 years. Meanwhile, visitors to the zoo can get behind-the-scenes tours to learn more about the bears on Saturdays and Sundays.
Happy birthday, Coda and Mistea.
John Flatters, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Who will the Riders face under center for Edmonton on Friday? Preparing for a pivotal decision after the break.
Wardrobe consideration in part by Colin O'Brien Men's Shop.
After a little injury scare yesterday, linebacker Jameer Thurman was back at practice today, with head coach Corey May saying he stubbed his toe. He's going to play on Friday. Good news for the Riders defense, which is being forced to prepare for 2 Edmonton quarterbacks. Donovan Mace explains.
Edmonton Elks head coach Mark Killam is keeping his playing cards close to his chest, not revealing who may be starting at quarterback against the Riders on Friday night.
You're just going to have to wait till we release the depth chart. It's more about those guys out here working to try to get better, just like everybody else that's out here competing.
9 games leading up to the West Division matchup.
We got to prepare for both quarterbacks, and that's certainly what we've been doing all week.
Ford from the pocket, pump fake, nothing yet. Now pressure on. He escapes, and he's got a ton of room.
Both Trey Ford and Cody Fajardo have been seeing first-team snaps at Elks practice this week.
We go into a game with about 85 plays, and now you're splitting the reps half.
We want to do anything to help this team win football games, and if this is part of the way to win football games, we're willing to do it.
Fajardo, deep shot, laying one out there.
Each pivot presents a different challenge for the Riders defense.
Trey Ford presents a tough challenge for us, you know, with his running ability, being able to run and pass. But I think Cody has a little bit of that too as well.
Everyone's got to like the pocket guy. You know, you can stay in the pocket, you could play fast and execute, but when it gets to, you know, the foot chasing, you're just running around chasing a receiver like a little rabbit.
And May says his team has to be prepared for any situation.
It's just extra time you got to put in, right? No doubt, but that's part of what we do, man. So no doubt, it's just what it is. We probably do the same in that situation, so it is what it is.
In his career, Ford is a perfect 2-0 against Saskatchewan, while Fajardo, the former Rider, has not started against the Green and White. Depth charts for both teams will be released on Thursday. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
Time for another edition of X's and O's with Wes Cates. Wes, the good game for the Riders beating the BC Lions last weekend. They now have Edmonton, who's coming off a bye, which actually hasn't been an advantage this season. Bye teams 4-4 coming off the bye so far, so it's not as big as an advantage as it's been in the past. But what do you see happening with Edmonton, considering you've got Cody Fajardo and Trey Ford both taking reps? Trey Ford was 2-0 against the Riders in his career. Cody hasn't played the Riders since he left. Who do you think is going to end up playing quarterback, and who would you rather see at quarterback against the Riders?
Yeah, I mean, the Riders did have a great bounce back weekly. I would say as far as the quarterback situation goes, Trey Ford is the talent. He's got the speed. He has a strong enough arm. I think Cody is kind of falling into that position or that role, that short yardage role, he's not necessarily somebody I'm scared of. If I was to pick between the two who I wanted to go against as a defense, I would definitely pick Cody Fajardo. He's probably not going to really get the ball out on time. He's going to run, but he's not as elusive as a runner as Trey Ford. Trey Ford's kind of going to do the same thing, but he's shown that, especially against the Riders, when he gets out the pocket, he's not just going to run for 6 and take a shot like Cody. He's going to look down the field and maybe throw 60 yards for 6. So I would definitely say, please go ahead and start Cody Edmonton if you would like to. Go ahead. We're very happy with that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Trey Ford's played well against him, but man, when he's bad, he's bad. So we'll have to wait and see. Sean Bain Jr. was back practicing. Where does he go? Because, I mean, your 3 Americans right now that are playing, Myers, Johnson, Robustelli, they've all had stellar games. So who do you replace?
Yeah, it's tough, Lee, and it's a good problem to have. Everybody's been talking about how great the Riders receiving corps has been stepping up. I would say you probably move him into that boundary slot, move Keyshawn Johnson back over to the boundary X. And sorry, Joe Robustelli, we love what we've seen from you, but these are our vets. They've been in the offense longer. So, he'll get some more chances, and maybe we'll try to find a way to move him around more. But I would say Joe Robustelli would probably be the odd man out.
I like his size, though. It's going to be tough to be without that for sure. But anyway, we'll see what they do this week when they play Edmonton on Friday. We'll analyze that game and look forward to next week on another edition of X's and O's.
X's and O's, brought to you by Campion College at the University of Regina.
Still to come, just how much of your money are Canadian governments taking for taxes?
Let's take a look at your rural forecast heading into tomorrow, and the sun is returning. We might still see some haziness along the eastern part of the province, at least to start your day, but for the most part, we will see more sunshine and those temperatures back into average range, if not a little warmer than average for this time of year. So let's take a look at what you can expect heading into tomorrow. 25 degrees for Hudson Bay and Wynyard, a mix of sun and cloud. Again, still seeing possibly some remnants of some smoke in the air first thing in the morning before it starts to clear out later in the day. 24 mainly sunny for Watrous, Lloydminster 27 with a mix of sun and cloud, 28 degrees for Outlook, Kindersley and Meadow Lake. Cloudier conditions, 26 degrees as the daytime high there. The closer we get to the southern border, though, much warmer temperatures. Maple Creek sunny and 31, 29 for a number of places in southern Saskatchewan. And then in the southeast, a little cooler, but still within average range, 25 degrees for Kenora, Broadview and Carlisle. If we take a closer look at Kerrobert, where internet speeds up to 1 gig are available through SaskTel, 25 degrees tomorrow. Mainly sunny conditions, but that 25 be feeling closer to about 31 degrees tomorrow.
A new study finds the average Canadian family shells out more than 40% of its income to the government. CTV's Vanessa Wright looks at how taxing that could be on your bottom line.
Between groceries, gas, and life's necessities, it's no secret many Canadians are struggling to make ends meet. But when it comes to what's really been weighing pockets down, a new study suggests those things aren't even the main culprit.
In 2024, we found the average Canadian family paid 42% of their annual income in taxes, and this is the single largest expense for Canadian families.
That's more than what Canadians spent on basic needs combined. According to the Fraser Institute, Canadians dished out 22% of their income on housing, 11% on food, and 2% on clothing, totaling to more than 35% of their income. Experts say it underscores the squeeze households face across the board.
When we're talking about cost of living and affordability concerns, we also need to include taxes in that conversation, because nearly 80% of the average family's income is going to not only taxes, but also to those basic necessities. So it's really, squeezing pocketbooks of families right now.
A reality many can relate to.
Personally, I think I'm actually struggling on paying so much on taxes, and it's making, like, you know, we are pretty much just living paycheck to paycheck.
Most people are struggling to find housing because of, you know, like they can't afford it.
I'm fortunate to have a decent paying job, but still, it's a real struggle going from paycheck to paycheck just to meet all the obligations and putting food on the table.
Though economics professor Lars Osberg believes more focus should be put on how Canada's national income is distributed.
What we should be talking about is a fair tax load to buy the services that Canadians want, like healthcare, education, and also an occasional road that doesn't have a pothole in it. Because, you know, what we pay in taxes provides for some of the things we want to have.
Many hope to see an ease on pocketbooks.
With the cost of living being so high right now, taxes just feel like one of those other things you have to pay for.
Vanessa Wright, CTV News.
Stock market's on the way up. TSX up 51 points. The Dow Jones up decently by the 507 points. Canadian dollar, it went up 0.05 of a cent to 73.55 cents U.S. Commodity front, gold went down $44.18. West Texas Intermediate crude down 6 cents. Western Canadian Select crude down 40 cents. And gas in Regina staying the same. It is currently at, well, looks like it changed a little bit. It's $1.30.9 cents per liter. Tonight. Oh. Master Chef, followed by Match Game at 8 o'clock. That's always fun. Battle of the Generations at 9, E-Talk. Then you got your Big Bang Theory. Got to stay up late to watch Big Bang Theory at 10:30. And, of course, your national news at 11:30, your local news. All right. It looks like Chapel Rowan just continues to like to mention Saskatchewan.
I'm moving to Saskatchewan.
In December, the pop star teased coming here as she mentions the province in her yet-to-be-released song called The Subway. Now, a fan page for Rowan has uploaded a video to Instagram showing what looks like her driving a truck down a dirt road with the Saskatchewan license plate on it and going past a Welcome to Saskatchewan sign, but we didn't pinpoint where that could be, where that Welcome to Saskatchewan sign is.
Yeah.
Probs Mooseman.
Just a nice little promotion piece, but I'll tell you right now, she ain't here in Saskatchewan.
Should we go on a hunt?
Maybe we should get people to go hunt.
Okay.
All right.
We'll do that.
Bro.
Well, you've probably heard of an ice cream float. Who doesn't love one of those? No? Okay. Well, what about a floating ice cream dock?
And you're still in love with it. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'll always be in love with it. I don't think I'll ever not love it here.
So New Brunswick, home to one of the most unique ice cream parlors, the Ice Cream Dock, even has a boat drive-through for customers to pick up their sweet treats from drumsticks, popsicles, ice cream sandwiches. The only thing missing is scooped ice cream. It's just tough to get it there. And if you don't have a boat, they do put boats on the beach for people to use for free to go check it out.
I feel like if she had the scooped ice cream, it'd be really heavy, and that would probably affect the floating dock situation, maybe.
The dock?
Maybe?
Yeah, I just think this is just easier to deal with.
Fair.
Speaking of Netflix, wait, you mentioned Netflix, right?
Sure.
Right. Netflix confirmed today that is renewing its Addams Family spin-off series Wednesday.
Yes!
Haven't seen the second season yet, but they've renewed it for a third season already.
Wednesday Addams is here. It's Addams with 2 Ds, like padded room.
Oh my goodness, this is so great. The news comes 2 weeks before the debut of season 2. Jenna Ortega is back in the title role of the spooky supernatural series directed by Tim Burton. Other returning cast members include Catherine Zeta-Jones, Luis Guzman, and Fred Armisen. Wednesday currently holds the title of Netflix's most watched English language original series. Have you seen it, sir?
Yes, have you seen it?
Have I? So good. 10 out of 10 recommend.
Wednesday on a Wednesday. Good night, everyone.